Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday to you. And welcome to another episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. And thank you guys for tuning in this morning. I know we got a lot of platforms that people are starting to jump in. And I just want to say thank you guys for jumping in. Thank you guys for your continued support. But also, thank you for allowing me to keep bringing this content to you guys. Now, before we get started, I would like to say that if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments section. And as always, we have an amazing guest for you guys today. And before I bring her up here, I would like to say that this is for educational purposes only. So with that being said, please help me welcome my next guest, Miss Sheila Kamuda. Hi, Sheila. How you doing this morning?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for being here today. Before we get started, tell people who you are and tell people where you're from.
Right. Well, I am originally from New York, actually. Originally from New York, moved to Chicago for a bit, then moved to Seattle for a bit, and now I'm back in Chicago.
Okay.
And I'm a coach. I'm an empowerment coach. That's what I do right now.
I love it. I love it. So now, just a little bit about your work. Explain to people what an empowerment coach is.
Yeah. So I started out actually as a career coach because I have a lot of leadership experience and that sort of thing. But what came through all the time, and even when I was managing people, was I was really very, very good at nurturing people. I
Mhm.
loved finding the things in people that they don't even see themselves.
Mhm.
And so many people have poor self-image. They talk big about the confidence and self-love, but they don't really have it. And I always say, if you're asking yourself, where'd my power go? I'm
Mhm.
the person that's going to help you find your power and why we let it go. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about helping people figure out that it's sometimes very little things that we do that we aren't even aware of, that we just are handing our power over to other people.
Yeah.
And because we don't think we have any, we don't think we can choose, we think we're insignificant, we think somebody's bigger than us and more powerful than us, or whatever it is. And it's so not true that we could take our life into our hands. And I want to share that with everybody I know and show them how we can do that. And I've done workshops on this. So I love empowering people. I love showing them how to like themselves more, because it has to start with you. You could forget the world if you don't like yourself. So it always starts there, even being grateful for yourself first, and loving your life first. And I try to help people get there. Yeah.
Okay. Now, see, that's amazing. And good morning, happy Friday to you as well, Mr. Courthouse Perspective. And thank you for tuning in. Like I said, if we have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section. And just a reintroduction of my guest, Sheila Kamuda is here this morning, empowerment coach, and she's going to be sharing her journey. Now, before we get into your journey, um, there are people, I guess my question would be, because I've seen so many people struggle with that, right? And that usually comes from living a life where people have stripped them away, stripped that their core away, and made them believe that they wasn't worth anything.
Right.
Prime example, right? People who are in narcissistic abusive relationships,
Yeah.
right? Those individuals are barely holding on because the narcissist won't let them go.
Right.
And they don't understand that they can make a choice and take away their power from the narcissist. But I think that, when dealing with a narcissist, and this is where I come from, speaking from experience, that narcissist will find a way to come back in, being all nice and everything, and then coming back in and going, you know what, now that I have you again, I'm not going to let you go, which adds to the trauma that we carry with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so before we get into your story, what advice would you give people that are in narcissistic abusive relationships?
Yeah, well, I think that you're absolutely right on the money, that once you're in that rabbit hole and
Mhm.
that momentum, that negative momentum starts, and it could be with any situation. Um, it's very difficult to climb out of that rabbit hole once you get there, but it is not impossible And it requires and takes every day really practicing something new until
Mhm.
that new becomes your new norm. So even if it's saying every day, not I am worthy, because that's very ambiguous. That sounds good and it's a good affirmation, but it's ambiguous. It would be more like, I have people actually write down a list of their successes, of their wins.
Mhm.
And the tiny ones, tiny, like I got out of bed today. Okay. Like I
Mhm.
called a friend today, little wins. And then when they look at that list, it's very empowering to do. I'm very practical. I'm very intuitive and I'm very practical. And I want them to look at that list and I want them to read it out loud. And then they look at it like that's me I'm talking about. Wait a minute, that's not my friend I'm talking about, because we could do that with our friends, but we don't do it with ourselves.
Right,
It's a
right.
very practical approach. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you do that enough, you have 20 items on a list, you don't even realize what a win is, and we start there. That is a really good start, because you step back and you say, damn, wait a minute. I
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I did do that. And when you see what you've done, that adds confidence, that adds your sense of worth. You have to see yourself what you have done. So I'm very practical about things like that.
Okay. Now, my second question would be, before we get into your
Mhm.
journey, how do you apply that to people dealing with grief?
Yeah. So with grief, and I was going to get into it, so I'll get into it now. Something I learned. So again, grief is so big for so many people. I don't dare try to say what worked for me worked for somebody else. I don't dare to step over that line. However, so I'll just speak through my journey and myself. Grief is an interesting thing because we get used to being in the state we are,
Right.
whether it's living with somebody abusive, having a boss that's abusive, having friends that don't really care about whatever it is.
Mhm.
Grief is the same thing. We get stuck in being safe in what we know. We don't want to be in grief, but it's what we know. And what I learned, and it took a very long time, was I found somehow the courage after a long time to want to know what's on the other side of grief. And I actually thought to myself, what will I have to do if I get on the other side of grief? What will I have to become? Or is there a test? Will I pass the test? Do I have to be successful? What do I have to do? And therefore, we stay because it's scary out there. We don't know. It's uncertain. And humans do not like uncertainty. We don't like uncertainty. We want to know what's happening. We want to know what's going on. We don't like being in that space of, I don't know what's there, but I'm going to drive the car and I'll get to that destination. We don't like that. We want the map. And with grief, it's the same thing. We want to stay there. I do believe this because it is so scary to come out of that and see what's waiting for us. And you know what's waiting for us? You know what I found out? I was waiting for me. That was it. I was waiting for me. The new me to emerge. Like, wow.
I was gonna say that, because that is sometimes true. Courthouse Receptive says they're stuck in grief, and so hopefully, we can elaborate on that a little bit because there are a lot of people out there that are stuck in grief, right? And they don't understand. And speaking from my own experience as well, I'm like you, I didn't. I was intrigued about the journey,
Mhm.
right? The uncertainty. So I'm unusual, things like that. I always told myself this is not going to beat me or anything like that. But my grief was so profound, so deep
Mhm.
that being in that mud with it,
Mhm.
right, and developing the skills, the tools
Mhm.
to slowly but surely move myself around
Yep.
from being unstuck, from, saying, letting the mud beneath me harden up before I was able to go to the next level. And
Yep.
I did not know. I did not know that there was a new me. Right?
Right.
I couldn't see it.
Right.
I couldn't see it. I just knew that, I was going to have to do some work.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, I was able to climb, pretty much use the dirt, which I now realize was the healing.
Yeah.
Right. It was everything I had ever gone through. And so that's the one thing that I think when it comes down to being stuck in grief,
Mm-hmm.
the healing that comes along with it is painful as well.
It's a learning journey. And when you're in it, you're not thinking, oh, I'll get out of it and I just have to do this. No. It's very incremental.
Mm-hmm.
You don't realize that just getting up one day, I remember that I would every day at 5 p.m. I would be like, I got through another day. That was it. It wasn't like I made it and I because I did those things. No. So it's after time you realize, oh, that was very incremental. It wasn't just I had this loss and I'm okay. It's not. We could be lost for years in that grief. And
Right.
I would say it takes as long as it takes.
It does. It does. There's no blueprint
And also
for it.
how
Right?
open we want to be. Like some people, like I knew I wanted to get there. I didn't know how to get there, but I wanted to. I didn't want to be where I was, but I didn't know how to get there. But at least I wanted to. And that sounds like you too. You want to, but you just don't know how the hell to get there. And it takes a long time. It's very incremental. It's like tiny, tiny, tiny baby steps that somebody be like, oh my God. No, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
So you don't go from first grade to college. No, they're like steps, right? Yeah.
Very true. Very, very true. And I think, one of the things I was talking with someone, and one of the biggest things that I've seen across the board, they compare, right? This gentleman was like, well, look at this person. Look at where they are. They went through the same thing I went through. I said, yeah. Well, now here's the thing. You just now met them. You've just now met them. How long ago did they go through experience their loss? How long ago? For them, it's been probably, 15, 16 years. I said, how long ago have you just experienced yours? Or it's been almost a year now. You can't compare a year to 15, 16 years.
All right.
You're looking for the overnight gratification or the overnight healing. So I'm very blunt when I said it. Look, it doesn't happen that way.
Well, everybody wants everything so fast.
Right.
Again, we're not willing to even things like when we're moving forward, or even if it's not a grief situation, we're writing a book, we're creating music, we're doing some kind of creativity, or we're problem solving, whatever it is. My God, we just want it overnight. And we don't understand that there's a magic in the journey of it. We don't know that there's a magic. If we did, and we knew what the magic was, then we'd watch that movie. But we don't know what it is, but we have to trust it and believe that there is actually a magic that happens, that you are learning something new. And it's such an incredible feeling when you get it. You're like, oh my God, that took so long, but look at where I am now. Whatever it is, grief is just bigger. But there's so many things in life that we just wanted automatically, but we don't understand, not just to enjoy the journey, like they say, but to really understand that journey is your lifeblood. That's the whole point,
Yeah. And now one thing, I have this conversation a lot, that this phrase, I'm putting in all the work and no one's giving me the attention that I think that it deserves. And I tell them all the time, I tell these individuals all the time, like, how long have you been doing it? I've been doing it a couple months. Said, you really haven't put in no work. Oh, you just see all the work I put in. Yeah, but you've only been doing it a couple months. I said, there's a process that you have to go through.
Yeah.
There's steps that you have to put in. Yeah. And imposter syndrome is real. I don't get down on anyone, but I don't, I oftentimes have to take a step back, because they're like, well, it's just so frustrating. I know it's frustrating. I said, but to be honest with you, just because you feel as if you're putting in a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what have you done?
Mm-hmm.
Have you proven yourself to society, to the world? Have you gone through the transformation to be able to receive what you're working for?
Yeah.
It goes through a quote that I heard from a famous pastor, T.D. Jakes, and he talks about the Rolex. I'll get to this comment here real soon, but it goes back to the Rolex, where he has a Rolex for his son, and he's had it since his son was a baby. He shows it to his son, from time to time, and his son wants it. His son, but he says, "I can't give it to him. Cannot give it to him, because if I give it to him, he'll destroy it, because he has not gone through enough to value the watch."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, just like everything in life that you get,
Yeah.
you have to be able to respect what you're going to receive, because
And
it's
you have to be
given
ready.
to you.
You have to be ready for it.
You have to be ready for it. You have to be as you said earlier, you have to be that version of yourself
Right.
that you need in order to receive the gifts that the world is going to give you, especially when it comes down to grief.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the question. Let me read this comment real quick, and then we'll get into your story. Courthouse perspective. Do you guys know of any grief groups online that are helpful? I went to one in person in South Florida, and it was an awful experience. They were more depressed than I could have imagined. I'll pose that question to you.
I get that, actually. When I was starting my journey, I was thinking, well, I should probably go to a group and do that. And I talked to one person, another person, and I'm like, okay, I could do this better on my own, because they are pulling me down. Because a lot of the times, grief groups, not that it's bad, there are several really good ones on Facebook, but they just, I don't want to sound hard. I want to be careful at how I sound. I don't want to sound cavalier, but you just stay in that same, it's like a bunch of people gossiping about a family member. You just like stay there. You never leave there. And I want to leave there. As a coach, we move forward. We don't stay. We don't want to stay stuck. And when you're with people who talk about the same thing, but they're not being enlightened, so to speak, then if there's no one there to pull them out, there's no one there to enlighten them or to help them move forward, then the grief groups just keep you where you are. So I totally understand what you're saying. I don't know of any. There are some on Facebook that I think are okay. I've had a hard time myself. I didn't go to a group, so I hear you.
Understood.
But I do know people who have, and it's worked for them. But even them, I don't see it. I don't see them being able to climb out. It's just a lot of camaraderie, which is a beautiful thing.
Right. And then, depending on what you're looking for, I do know of a couple of them. So let's see, Grief to Hope with Hope Rieger. Find her on Facebook. She does an amazing group over there. Go over there and check her out. And if you're looking for a men's group, Grief Tribe Men with Mike MC, he's another amazing dude. The group over there is growing and got some amazing men over there. I will be starting up my groups here real soon, which is going to be the Memories of Us, the Grief Support for Men's group, and that will also be virtual. But yes, go over there and check them out. And get back to me if DM me if you can't find anything, and if we can help connect you with some really good people, and we'll get you the support that you're looking for. If you're looking for in person, I would have to do a little bit more research for you, but let me know what you're looking for, and I can reach out to some friends and see where we can go from there. I know that I have a friend in South Florida, and I don't know if you know him or not, but Oscar Guerrero, he does Mended Men. And I can also reach out to him as well and see, okay, online is better. I can definitely look at, give me a little bit to reach out, but start there. Hope Rieger, Grief to Hope, Grief Tribe Men, and tell Mike MC that I sent you over there. And tell Hope, if you do reach out to Hope, tell her that Tony sent you over. They'll take good care of you. All right. But now, going back to Miss Sheila. Now, so how did you get into this work? Because you're very knowledgeable, and I love that empowerment. You remind me of my friend Jay Lewis. Empowering people in their lives.
Yeah.
How did you yourself get into this work?
Yeah. Well, while I was going through my healing journey, I would say, so my husband died in November 2012. And I would say it took 6 years. I'm going to look back at 6 years that something happened at the 6-year mark. And during that time, I was again finding me. And when I came out of there, I realized, I look back. You always have to look back. People don't do this. This is another thing.
Right.
They always think nothing's happening. They always think they're not getting anywhere because they don't look back. They don't look to see where they were. And that's a big problem. If they look back a week to see where they were a week ago, they'll see that they've made progress. But at any rate, so looking back, I realized like, wow, I was much stronger than I had been. I felt really empowered. I was completely alone. We have a 15-year-old child when Bob died. No relatives were living where we were living. No help. I had some friends. It was very, very difficult. And during that period of time, well, I could talk about that for a minute, but during that period of time when I came out of the 6 years, that strength, and I'm feisty anyway. I have kind of a fierce
I love
position. And so something came to me. It was like an intuition, which I believe in at this moment, this intuition. I wouldn't say it was a voice, but an intuition that said, put this all together. I have leadership abilities. I've come through something that I never used the word empowerment in my life. That cliche stuff is not for me. Yeah. But really, I felt powerful, more powerful than I did when I started. And I thought, wow, I could use this in some way and help people. And like I said, I didn't start out as an empowerment coach. I started out, this is what I mean by incremental. It's like, people, give yourself a chance. You are learning. And so I started thinking, well, I should become a coach. So I became a certified coach. I'm like, I like the legitimacy of doing that. Okay, did that. And then I built a website. It's called Live Out Loud Coaching. Okay, great. And then I felt like I had some thoughts, and I wrote a journal because I wanted for people to be able to write and to answer these questions that they didn't really, it kind of sneaks up on you, but it helps you become more empowered. So my first journal is called my Badass Journal, actually. And it has 52 prompts in it. It has principles in it, but they're basically about loving yourself more and finding the power within. Okay. And that actually helped me become a better coach. So I have this thing, like, you have to follow those breadcrumbs. It's not just, okay, that's what I'm doing. No, we're learning. We're constantly evolving. That's what we're supposed to do. The world is constantly evolving. And so that informed, I'm like, wait, that sounds better than this career coaching stuff that I found kind of boring. I was good at, but I was boring. And I'm like, wait, that's really so it informed it. And then I did a workshop about it. And I'm like, wait, this is really cool. And so you keep learning and you keep growing, and it's just like you watch where the breadcrumbs are leading you. It's like, to me, it's like such an epiphany. It's so phenomenal, rather than just sitting. And it was another thing, what you were saying before, because I had this thought of, people are also worried about their outcome. Like you were saying, they only did it for a little bit of time and they want to get the recognition. They're always thinking about the outcome. Why don't you just do the journey? Just do it because you love it. You don't do it because you love it. You could forget it. If you're doing it for some outcome, you could forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Now, I think that's what people get wrapped up in, though, right?
The money is not. Yeah, of course I want to be like the most famous coach. That's like a yes. Of course we want applause. Of course we do. But the love of doing it, I think that gets lost somewhere. Like the love of actually, oh, that was a good idea. I'm going to share that with somebody. That gets lost somehow in the outcome of it. The materialness of it. Mm-hmm. So, my journey started with, this is what I want to do. I feel really good. I wasn't thinking about it while I was healing. I wasn't thinking, oh, when I get healed. No, I didn't even know that I was ever going to heal ever, ever.
Right.
And so I became a career coach. And then I said, no, that's not really what I want to do. And I'm like, oh my God, I am empowering people. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to help them feel worthy, feel like what they're doing counts, feel like they're not insignificant, even if they're made to feel insignificant. Maybe that comes from my childhood too. I was a terrible, terrible student. I mean, terrible. And that stays with you forever. But by God, I wouldn't change that for anything, because it has made me so patient. Oh my gosh. I can explain things in so many different ways because I understand that people understand differently. So even that terrible growing up, with being a terrible student has helped me. So you don't know what in your life is going to help you succeed and what's going to help you be what you're supposed to be. But you just follow the breadcrumbs. You just follow them. They're there. They're the opportunities. Like the universe is saying, here, I am handing this to you. Try it. And so that's what I did. And I one journal led to another. I did a gratitude journal because I feel like gratitude, when we're feeling down and when we're feeling like we can't climb out of that rabbit hole, I would say the thought of positivity is ridiculous and BS. That does not work. You can't just be positive. But what you can do is you can say how grateful you are, like for that cup of coffee. I say I'm grateful for the cup of coffee I have every single day, because my first cup of coffee for the day is like, wow.
Yeah.
People that talk about gratitude, but for real things like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that the sun is out. I'm so grateful that friend called. Anything. Gratitude lifts us. It's an incredible, magical thing. And it's funny. It's like we carry that with us. We don't have to buy it. You don't have to be elite. You don't have to come from a certain family.
Mm-hmm.
You have gratitude inside of you. Gratitude for fresh running water? Seriously? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, oh my God. So that does pull people out of that rabbit hole. I've done that for myself. Yeah.
Okay. See, I love that, right? Because these are things, again, people don't think about when they're going through the hurt.
Oh no.
Right. We're thinking of, I just need to survive these next couple of hours.
Right.
Tomorrow's sometimes they don't even think there, because that brain fog, right? And this is me speaking from my my own experience. That brain fog, I didn't know whether if I even wanted to go on.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
I don't remember. I had a routine where I got up in the morning, had that coffee. Gratitude was not even a thing at that moment for 2 years. But I knew I got up in the morning, had coffee, worked out, went to work, came home, ate, worked out, stayed in the house, normally pass out or stay up all night thinking, wondering, what's next for me. And there's just huge chunks that I don't remember, right? I couldn't tell you about conversations that I had. I couldn't tell you about the things that I've done. I just knew that, when I had to go to the store and get groceries, I could run to the store, grab groceries, come back home. I was so good at avoiding, right? Avoiding people. I don't want to talk to you. For some odd reason, I thought that they could see my shame.
Mm.
I thought, that if I stayed there long enough, they would see the hurt that I was going through. I couldn't chance that. Yeah. Right. Or I was so afraid that someone was going to ask me how I was doing that I was like, if I run real quick, I don't have to worry about you asking me, right? So I kept myself. Here's the biggest thing. I kept myself in shape. I was a big dude, 313 pounds, nothing but muscle, bodybuilding, stayed in shape, looked pretty good, right? And what I found was, and I figured this part out, if I look as if I am okay, it would keep people from asking me if I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It would eliminate that. Tony, you look good. Well, thank you very much. Tony, wow, man. See, you still working out. Yeah. I didn't have to tell that truth that my world was in shambles.
Yeah.
Like inside of me, the world was in shambles. I didn't want anybody to see that because I didn't want to feel weak. And you know what I'm saying? Or and here's another thing. I had to protect myself
Mm-hmm.
from those who were going to be willing to take what I had gone through and use it against me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is what life had taught me.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I wasn't the only one that was afraid of that. Right. And like you said, using that empowerment, I didn't even know what empowerment was, you know. It didn't take till some time later, where I had done some work on me. Still couldn't tell you how I got into doing the work. It was like, oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe I need to go back and check on that little kid, you know what I'm saying, called Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to go back and check on that little kid, right? You know, and I tell people this now, everybody's going to be different. And you and I have pretty much figured out a formula for ourselves, right? But then there was the universal things that, you know, those breadcrumbs, like you said, we've seen the breadcrumbs and it was like, oh, this can be applied to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Because these can be building blocks.
Yeah.
In order for people to build upon, like you said, that gratitude, right?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Sheila, that gratitude didn't come till later. And it wasn't until like I didn't have anybody to teach me. So I was using motivationals.
Yep.
Those people up there, I just dreamed of what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to read in between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go, I wonder what it took for them to get there. And then they would tell their stories. And then I started to relate to their stories. I mean, these are famous people. And I would just imagine that they were talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Afford anything, right? I couldn't afford mentors or anything like that.
Right.
So I was like, they're talking. I would sit there in front of the TV like, man, they're talking to me.
Right.
They're teaching. So I would imagine I was sitting there. And, you know, if these guys ever see this or anything like that, thank you for the inspiration and the guidance that you guys give me unknowingly. But yeah, I used to imagine that they were talking to me, you know, as they were talking about their journey. I would go, man.
Yeah.
Right. All right. You know, so I have to do this. Yeah. In order to get here. I have to do this in order to get here. Okay. So I need to be grateful for putting my feet on the floor because why do I need to be grateful? These are things I started dissecting this, Sheila. I was like, do I need to be grateful? Well, let's think about this. Let's go back. Let's go back two, maybe three things. One, you woke up this morning. You saw the ceiling. That's the first thing that you did. Secondly, you're still breathing.
Right.
Why should I be grateful for that? Well, there's people out there that didn't do neither one of those things.
Right.
Now you're able to put your feet on the floor. Wow. The Lord feels nice.
Yeah.
That feels like the sensations on my feet. That feels nice.
Yeah. It starts to uplift.
Right. Yeah.
Little tiny bit.
Little tiny bits and pieces that help you move throughout the day. And it
People
takes
want it big, but it's little tiny bits.
God, see, I just wanted to know if I was on the right path because maybe I need to go back and get some more steps in. You know? I just wanted to see if I had been doing that. You know, like it just made sense to me.
Yeah.
Now in your journey, let's backtrack a little bit. In your grief journey, what did your grief look like in order to get you to change it around? Right, because you lost a significant part of your life.
Yeah,
you lost your husband.
Yeah,
and so what in your grief journey? How did that grief affect you?
Yeah, well, I we were extremely close and together a very long time before we even had a kid. And our relationship was like a little bit of a reverse. He was older than me. And when Sydney was 2, I convinced him, just retire. You hate working. That's a terrible place. I loved working. So there was a reversal. I barely drove. Growing up in New York, we didn't even have a car. I was just clueless about that stuff. So he took care of like freaking everything.
Mhm.
I mean, just everything. Took the kid to school. I mean, to activities. He had activities. They were like close. And I was doing my thing and enjoying it. And then he was even cooking. He was like everything. It doesn't sound like I did anything. I did a lot, but he was taking care of the practical stuff. And when he was gone, and I knew it because I had time to get used to it, it was like, oh my God, I was completely ill-equipped. Not only was I grieving, but I was ill-equipped. Had to like take driving lessons again. It was just it was horrendous. It was horrendous. And my poor kid lost this beam in their light. It was gone. And you can't replace the other. You could try, but forget that. You can't replace that person. Don't even try. You have to do the best you can, but don't even try to don't insult anybody by trying to replace someone. And so I was just feeling very alone. That was my thing. There was really, except for some friends who were very kind, there was no one to really help me out of it. And my focus was very much on my kid, who was 15 at the time. And at teen, that's a very hard time in anybody's life.
Right.
14 when he became ill, 15 when he passed away. And it was just sort of like, get up, do what I had to do, and like you're talking about, you're just saying survival. There was no like, I'm great at that period of time. There was no like, I'm grateful that I'm alive. There was like, you just moving through every day, and every day was like, okay, I got through another day. After a year, I got through another year. That was it. I didn't even think it would ever end, ever. But what I started to do during that time also, I was very anxious. I couldn't read. Like I had no concentration. Like I was just fidgety and anxious. And I know a lot of people go through this, but I always enjoyed writing. And I started to write a letter to Bob every day. I wanted to talk to him. I didn't want him to go. And I would talk in the air, but I wanted to write a letter. And I had journals in the house, empty journals. And I filled, over 6 years, I filled 43 journals with under 2,000 letters to him. And that actually helped me cope, because the letter might have been, I paid a bill. It might have been like, oh my God. It might have been, the kid graduated high school. Maybe we'll be looking at colleges. It could have been, hey, remember that funny story you told? Oh my God, that was hysterical. I was laughing. Remember the time we went blah, blah, blah over there? Remember? And I would do anything. I wasn't even forcing it. I would just wanted to remember our life, and I wanted to talk to him. And so that was my way. It was a huge coping mechanism. I didn't do it on purpose for that reason, but I realized, wow, every day, nope, you got to live another day. You're going to write a letter to him, tell him what's going on, and that helped me survive quite a lot. So my grief journey was more like I was on my own. And in fact, this November was 11 years since he's gone. As the time goes on, you just sort of settle into a new life and everything. And I actually wrote, I can hold it up. I wrote this book, this memoir called Party of One, because when I was going through my healing journey, I felt alone. I was a party of one. Like you go to a restaurant and they ask you how many in your party, and I'd be like, it's just me. And then when I felt more powerful, I'm like, party of one, here I am. That's the table I'd like. And I just felt like I was always a party of one. So this book relates stories. Again, I want to hold on and let go at the same time. This book is sort of memoirs. There's a memoir on one side of the page, some remembrance I have, some events, some thought. And on the other side of the page is a reflection, what I learned from it. Maybe what I learned was that it's okay to take your time. You know what? Don't get well fast so your friend can have you back. That's not what this is about. So
Right.
I learned something from each of these vignettes, and I hope that other people will get some comfort in knowing, if they read it, that it's okay. It's okay. Whatever you're going through, it's okay, because
Mhm.
it's your journey, not someone else's. There are no two alike. And no one can tell you, well, I'm okay now. Why aren't you? No, 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 no. So that's why I wrote this. Number one, I wanted to remember our life. You know, when you take a step back, it's easier to have that space. And then I also wanted to, what did I learn from these?
Right.
So that helped me. That helped me heal, actually. And it took 6 years. I mean, I didn't move. I remember at 6 years also, because we liked the same kind of like art on the wall, but I like more modern art. And he had a different kind of style. It took 6 years. I finally started to remove art from the walls and make it my own after 6 years. I didn't touch a thing, not a piece of cloth, nothing. I was so alone and so in that grief,
Yeah.
just trying to survive. And then, like you did, I didn't have a mentor, but I was watching YouTube videos and I was becoming enlightened, is really what it was.
Right. Right.
And learning about gratitudes every day. I would sit, and that became a ritual, which I still do every day of my life. I have my coffee, I sit down with my journal, I write what I'm grateful for. I look back at my life, even now, all the time, all the time. You never stop. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm
Right.
done. No. You always, because it reminds you, and it uplifts. And why shouldn't we feel uplifted? We should.
Well,
So I hope that answered your question.
No, it definitely answered my question and then some, and again, thank you everybody for tuning in on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. All you guys, thank you for tuning in. Today's guest is Sheila Kamuda. She's an empowerment coach, and we're talking about her grief journey and how she did it. Please hold up your book again. Tell people where they can find your book, A Party of One. If you guys haven't already, just a brief rundown. Came from her writing letters to her husband after he passed away, and how she found a way to begin her healing process. So where can people find your book?
Well, it's on Amazon, and it's also on Barnes & Noble online, and it's actually in several bookstores in Chicago. They're actually carrying it, but you could easily find it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble online.
Okay. See, I love that. And like I told you before, I'm gonna have to get that get a signed copy from you, because I love reading books.
This
I love
is my only one.
That's your only one to see. Look, we got to talk about this. You can't get my hopes up high and then see. That's what I've been talking about. I knew you was going to do it. I knew you was got my hopes up high, and no, that's my only. I'm coming to your house. I'm grabbing that. All right, just hand it over to me. I'll be outside. Right? I'll be outside. So all you gotta do is come out, and I'll be outside your door, even if you don't come outside. I'm stalking you. So no, but I find that fascinating. Please, guys, go check it out. And also, I gotta make sure
it's not going to, it's sort of like, it's not intended. Like if somebody has a loss, it's not intended to be like, okay, here, read this and you'll be fine. No, I understand that. It's intended to be a companion for somebody who might see something in that is similar to what they're going through. And it's there to say to them, it's okay. And in fact, it's divided into 4 sections. One is honor yourself, then believe in yourself, be yourself, and find yourself. So that's the journey it takes. Yeah.
Because you help people focus on themselves, right? The healing work that comes along with it, to help get out of a place of hurt and despair, and finding gratitude, appreciation, and strength in their healing as they go. And I finally I understood what you were saying right there, and I was like, wow, so, and I wonder how many people can relate to that philosophy right there. Right. How many people can go, what, I did this. Oh, how many people are stuck and not knowing where they can go from there. Right. Because that, I never take anything away from anyone. And I always want to make sure that I acknowledge, hear, and validate and respect people's grieving journey, no matter what that loss is.
Yeah.
And I had a really good dude, Artie. I did a show, and he had said something to me, and I automatically had to go back and go, no. He had said, I can't relate to your losses, but I did lose my dog, and I know that I stopped right there. I said, well, Artie, no, we don't do that. I said, let me ask you a couple questions, and I want people to ask these questions as well. Did you love your pet? Did you take care of him? Did you nurture him or her? I said, that's a family member.
Yeah.
We don't compare losses.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we don't compare losses, right? But now I'm gonna tie that into what you were saying about the journaling part, right? Because I find that to be a very strong way, and can often be, a great way to start.
Oh, yeah.
By remembering. See, that's what Memories of Us. When I started Memories of Us, it was just because I want you to remember the life that you had with your loved one or loved ones. Names that you used to call them, things they used to do, all of those different things. Because what it does, that one moment that changed your life, as traumatic as it may be, as hurtful as it may be, you had that one moment that changed your life in that way, but you have a lifetime of memories. Lifetime of memories. Whether if your child was born, 18 minutes ago, you have a lifetime of memories because that pain is going to stay with you.
Yeah.
Right. And so you just have to, I love focusing on those different things, and helping those men walk through there and not feel ashamed.
Another thing too that people, I don't know if you found this, that people do, there's a sense of guilt if they stop grieving for a second and laugh at a movie or a joke. I'm like, no, that does not diminish your feelings. You are allowed, so we stop ourselves from moving on because of guilt. We're supposed to be sad. We're supposed to be in this state. No, if it doesn't diminish anything. People don't understand that. It's important that it's okay to feel good and still grieve.
Right.
Two things can live together.
They can. Well, see, I think with a lot of, and I've started figuring, the longer, I'm on this journey, and I think a lot of us that are still on this journey, we find out that we can grieve almost anything, right? So happiness, people are like, how can you grieve happiness? Well, just like how you said, Sheila, you could be sitting down and maybe, you're watching a movie and something comes across and you're just like, oh man, and you smile. It's the expectations that we put upon ourselves or we allow people to put upon us, right? You're not supposed to be that way.
Right.
And such and such said, I should still be in this place of deep sorrow.
Yeah.
And here's something that we find out. You will always have moments of deep sorrow. You will always have moments where the pain is so awful that you may not want to get out of bed. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
See, the one thing I tell people all the time, it's your grief. Do it the way that you see fit. Don't model your blueprint behind someone else because it has no blueprint. It's messy. Grief has its own rhyme or reason, especially depending on the person and the loss. It is yours.
Yeah.
Do grief the way that you need to do grief. Stop worrying about how everybody perceives you.
Right.
Because just like everything else, opinions are just like buttholes. Everybody has one.
And here's the thing too, you don't need anybody's validation. You can validate yourself. Yeah. In fact, you should validate yourself, which is also something I talk about because people talk big about it, but they're always looking for somebody else. Oh, if they like it, then it must be good. No. Do you like it?
Yeah, do you like it, right?
You like it. You have to validate yourself. Don't worry about the world. You have to like yourself more than the next
Mhm.
guy, actually. And we
Exactly,
don't.
exactly.
We're waiting for somebody else to like us. Do we like us? That's the first question.
I think that comes from dealing with trauma, unseen trauma, people abusing us, telling us, putting us down, self-esteem, all of these different facets that play along, along in our life. Because just like if we
And it
tell,
happens to everybody when they're a
uh-huh,
child. Everybody.
yes,
I know no
yes,
one who doesn't have that.
yes,
Parents do their best and they screw us up,
oh, you
So
know what? But that's the like when you have a kid, right? When you have a kid,
Mhm.
you're going to mess up because there's no blueprint for your kid.
Oh, you're gonna totally mess up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes if you mess up good enough, you gotta hope that that kid comes back and go, you know what, you screwed me up, but that's okay. I got you. But the thing is, just like everything, right?
Yeah.
There's no manual.
Right.
There's nothing that said A, B, C, and D. This is the way it's supposed to be, right? Um, there's no one. I mean, yes, we do this work of empowerment and walking with men and those who need us the most by using our experiences, and we have come up with a steady structure
Mhm.
that you can use to. It's like a plug and play,
Yeah.
right? I write programs all the time. It's like a plug and play. I figured out some strong points on it,
Mhm.
and what those points have done, it's designed to help you ask the questions that you need to get from point A to point Z. And
Mhm.
then that process is designed to help you help you along the way by using certain universal tips,
Yeah.
journaling, right? That's a huge journaling. Write down what you're going through. If you cannot articulate it, write it down. Because
Yeah.
when you write it down, you start writing down one little thing, and then you start thinking to yourself, like, no, I have something to really say to you. Like, I did you left me. You ever hear that, or you ever done that to
Yeah.
yourself when you write a letter like, hold on, remember you said that we were supposed to do this, and
Yeah.
you left me, and then you get angry.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what I'm saying? No, you said that you was going to do this, and I can't believe you left me the way that you did. Did you not know the kid that we have? But and it goes from there, right? And I often sit back like, got a whole lot to say, don't you?
Yeah.
Go ahead, get on off the chest, right? But I find that um fascinating,
Mhm.
and yet very, very beautiful. And as you said, Sheila, very, very empowering,
Mhm.
because when giving the right situation, you will find the words that you need to say to express what you're going through.
Oh,
You
yeah.
put the words together. It may not come out verbally, but when you start to put it on paper,
Mhm.
there's a sense of security, because you're the only one that can read that unless you want to share it.
Yeah. And when you have ideas swimming around in your head, it's really best to take them out of there and write them down. Even
Right.
if you throw it out, it doesn't matter. But when ideas swim around in your head, it's not really good. They escalate into other strange things, and it's really best to write them down. And there were things as you were talking in one of the little memories vignettes I have in here. So my husband used a part of the counter in the kitchen. I called it his office because we didn't have a big space, and he had papers and bills. Like that was his, I didn't go near it. Let's put it that way. And so it's funny. I put things in here that are humorous. I'm not trying to laugh at it, but your life is made up of funny, sad, anger.
Right, right,
So,
right.
right. And so I finally cleaned the counter off. Oh my God, I found these bills that were under there. I'm like, man, what did you do? Like you left me with these, so I had to clean up, but I made not a joke out of it, but I'm like, it's like, okay, take back I finally had a chance to clean it up. So you never know what your memories or what is going to be there. But I think if you take it out of your brain and put it on paper, I think that's the first step. I'm very into actionable tools because
Mhm.
I find that it's very helpful if you are enlightened and understand these concepts already. Then if
Mhm.
somebody says something ambiguous, you're like, oh yeah, I got that. But if you talking to a regular person who doesn't get enlightenment or they're not spiritual or anything, they're like, what? So I break it down to be like, write it down. You don't feel good about yourself? What did you do yesterday that was good? Oh, nothing. Oh, please. You had to do something that was decent. Write it. People don't want to talk. They don't want to feel good. I don't know what it is, but people don't want to feel good. It's very scary to feel good because then you have to be successful. And let me tell you, it's much easier to complain. I've been there. I'm not talking about I've been there to complain than actually have to get up and do it. It's much easier to be like, well, I really can't. I don't know how. Oh my God. That's much easier than to say, okay, I'm going to figure this damn thing out.
Right.
It's very hard to take responsibility for your
It
life.
is.
We want the power, but we're afraid.
I have a label that, I have something that, I came up with as you was thinking, there was something that I came up with that I've often kept to myself. But I see people doing that, right? And I have yet to see something to attach to that definition.
Mm-hmm.
And what I came up with was attachment syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I am attached to the feeling of safeness.
Oh, absolutely.
The feeling of safety. I am attached to the feeling of victimhood because now I have an excuse to act out. Right, and I need you.
Or to stay exactly where I am.
Yeah, I'm attached to being stagnant. Being in one place. Because if I can stay attached to these things, I don't have to.
I don't have to be better.
Not just being better, but you know what I'm saying. I don't have to worry about what people would think about me.
Yeah, but they also complain about not moving forward.
And again, that's attached to victimhood, right?
We just imprison ourselves.
Imprison
ourselves. It's like people don't want to hear that, but we really, really do. It's because it's scary to know what is on the other side.
Right. It's attachment syndrome. Right. You know what I'm saying? If I can attach to myself to these things that are familiar with me, I don't have to come outside of my safety zone. I can always rely on these things that I've already known. Right. And this will be my catalyst for not wanting to move forward. Because for one, this I'm familiar with. I'm attached to familiarity. I'm
that's what we want because our gremlins and our ego is there to keep us safe. So anytime anything new comes up, it's there to keep us safe. And we follow, I call it staying on the comfy couch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's like, I got everything I need right here. No,
Attachment syndrome, right? I'm attached to the things that keeps me safe. Although I realize that it's doing damage to me. I'm safe over here in my corner because for one, if I step outside of here, this is unknown. The healing part, you know what I'm saying? The unknown variables.
That uncertainty, we don't like it.
Uncertainties and things like that. So and look, we've all been there.
Yeah,
right?
I have to work on it all the time. Yeah,
exactly. But it's like I think for a lot of us that have gone through or still going through it, right?
Yeah.
Those that have found the path and begin to not only take those breadcrumbs and scoop them up, we begin to bake things with them. Things of comfort for us, right? The cupcakes. The breads and things like that. We're going, you know what? Yeah, I know there's an awful lot of breadcrumbs around. Let me just scoop this up and add a little extra to it, right? Yeah. And that becomes our healing journey, right?
Yeah.
And I say that to say this because when you can begin to see the bigger picture of your breadcrumbs, you realize that those pieces was once a whole.
Oh yeah.
But you get to mold it and bake it over again into your new wholeness.
Yeah.
Right?
If you allow yourself. Yeah. And when you're going through it, like we said, you aren't seeing it. So you just have to trust and go through those motions because one day all of those things will connect and you will be feeling, you may not be healed completely, you may, but you'll be more than when you started out.
Yes. Wow, wow, wow. See, I knew. I did, like I always call it. I'm like, you know what? I knew it was going to happen. Love your energy, all of that great stuff, man. And so yeah. Before we wrap up and everything, I always love to ask my guests if you could leave the audience with something. What would you leave them with?
I would say trust your true self. It really knows what you want. And when it when your intuition tells you something, follow it, because you will never be led wrong. Your intuition will guide you to who you want to be. Just
Mhm.
trust yourself, your
Yeah,
true self.
I love that. Now, how can people find you?
They can find me on my website, liveoutloudcoaching.com. And you could look at everything on my website, see more about me. Absolutely. And if you wanted to contact me, you can have a free talk to see if I might support you in some way. I'm very open. I love sharing.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, now with that being said, Sheila, thank you for coming in and blessing me with your journey, your story, and your knowledge. Amazing person. People go check out her book. There's The Party of One. It's on Amazon. And, go to your Barnes& and Noble, order it online, and, enjoy the tools that she's put in there, and empower yourself to go through life and find the things that you want to do, be encouraged, and feel validated, validate yourself. And
Mm,
it's such a powerful journey, such an amazing woman. Sheila, thank you again for being on the show. I
thank
had an
you.
amazing time. For everyone who is tuned in, hopefully you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you just now tuning in, and you want to see the full episode, follow us on YouTube, The Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Go over there and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. For everyone who is tuned in on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for making it all the way to the end. And if you know anyone who could benefit from these conversations that we have, please share this with them. And if you're looking for more conversations, please go check out the YouTube channel. And we have something for everyone over there. With that being said, I am Tony Lynch. This is going to conclude this episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Thank you guys for your love and support. And we will see you guys in the next one. So again, if you know anybody who can benefit from it, please share it with them. Or if you have a story that you would like to share, reach out to me. I would love to have you as a guest. And yeah, with that being said, Sheila, thank you again for being on the show. We'll see you guys in the next one. You guys enjoy your weekend and happy Memorial Day weekend to you. Hopefully, you guys are creating sunshines and smiles with people that you love and care about. You guys have a great one.